Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to another episode of the Catholic League Forum. I'm Mike McDonald, Director of Communications at the Catholic League, and joining me today is Bill Donohue, President and CEO of the Catholic League. Now, Bill, as I'm sure everyone knows by now, we do a lot of interesting work here at the Catholic League. Unfortunately, we don't have time to fit them all in, especially this week. We had a lot of big issues to cover. And just to give the viewer a bit of a overview of what we do, we opened up this week talking about a church massacre in Nigeria, which is very sad. A bunch of Muslim extremists went into a church, St. Francis in Owo, in Onoda State, Nigeria. And very sad. They killed somewhere between 40 and 50 people. But as you could predict, most of the media sort of left out the religious element that this was a Catholic church being attacked by Muslim extremists. And it's very sad. And, Nigeria is pretty much falling apart. And unfortunately, we just don't have leadership because these types of attacks happen more often than not. I used to work in international affairs in the Trump administration. We were, pushing to preserve religious liberty. And you don't see that under this administration. They're actually undoing a lot of the work that we did. Also, a little bit closer to home, we touched on a story about Congressman Malinowski from New Jersey. And, this is reviving a story that we first touched on back in March 15th of this year. We had to write an open letter. You had to write an open letter to him about just his denial of parental rights. Very sad in some of the statements he said. But he's back in the news again. He's refusing to meet with parents. He's got some corruption allegations, doing some improper things with his finances. So, we had to raise the flag again and highlight this for the people. So, dear viewer, not to belabor these points, but if you are interested in reading any more of our coverage on them, do check out our website, catholicleague.org. We'll have a link in the description below. A lot of good, interesting stuff there, and, a lot of stuff that unfortunately just doesn't make the mainstream news. Now, Bill, I want to dive in a little bit deeper on some of these other topics we dealt with this week. Another big issue that came up for us on Monday was our Amicus Brief. Was filed with the Supreme Court. Can you tell us a little bit how that came into being?
Yes, we're very much interested in the sexualization of children, in particular. I call it child abuse when you take kids and you're trying to transition them. But this particular case is slightly different. It reminds you of the case with Jake Phillips, the Masterpiece Cake guy. He said, I don't mind servicing gay people in my bakery in Colorado, but don't ask me to inscribe a hello, happy wedding kind of cake for two men who claim to be getting married because that offends his Christian beliefs. Now we have a woman, Lori Smith. Now, he won on a technicality there. We've addressed it a little bit in the past because of the Equal Rights Commission there made anti-Christian statements. So the big issue still remains. Can a person who has deeply held Christian convictions, or could be Judeo-Christian, could be Muslim for that, it could be Islamic, could a person who has deeply held religious objections to recognizing homosexual marriage, can that person claim an exemption from what otherwise would blanket them and invoke their conscientious rights? We're taking up the case in an amicus brief about Lori Smith. She's a web designer, also in Colorado. Again, she doesn't mind doing web designs for people who are gay. She doesn't ask those questions.
Right.
She's getting out in front of a law. It's a preemptive strike. And she's saying, listen, if you ask me to make a web design to do something to recognize and elevate and honor a gay wedding, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Because I have religious objections like Jack Phillips did with the cake. So that's why we got involved in this. The Supreme Court will hear oral argument in the fall, and then we won't know for about a year as to whether or not we've won. But it's an important case.
Yes, very important, and thank you to Kathy Gallagher, our great attorney, did a lot of hard work on that.
Kathy's out of Pittsburgh. She does great work.
Yeah.
And Russ Giancola.
Yes, she has a great team there,
Yep.
and they're doing great work for us, and we're looking to do more things like this in the future. So that's going to be something we'll keep you updated on that, dear viewer. But if you would like to get involved in supporting us in these issues, because right, Bill, they're not going away anytime soon.
No.
Do check out our website, catholicleague.org, and consider becoming a member of the Catholic League. You get a lot of great benefits. You get catalysts in the mail, and you'd be really part of these great big issues. So if you find in your heart to give us some help there, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, Bill, just shifting gears a little bit, I think we've spoken about this a little bit in the past, but Nancy Pelosi, your girlfriend.
Yeah, she's quite a girl.
She always seems to be getting into the news a little bit. And the big story in Catholic circles is Archbishop Corleone from
Right.
San Francisco saying that please stop presenting yourself for communion. Very strong statement from him there. But she's been very quick. The media's been very quick to sort of say, like, oh, he's gone out of his way to overstep here. But you have a great report out this week looking at this isn't Nancy Pelosi's first rodeo.
No, it's not. And we wanted to show that she has a history of this, a long history. We have our own files, and they're quite good. And we go back to 1990. That's how long she has been clashing with bishops over all kinds of issues, mostly dealing with women and sexuality, marriage and the family, and the like. So she has a long history. It's not just Corleone. Back in 2008, she went on Meet the Press and made up the idea that the Catholic Church has never been against abortion and whatnot. She didn't know what she was talking about, but I think it was all intentional. Now, back in 2008, when that infamous Meet the Press interview was held, I will commend the bishops. They came down her throat. They really did, and they tried to set her straight. I was so kind, actually, that I sent her a copy of a book called Catholicism for Dummies. But she never showed any gratitude and sent it back to me. But here's the thing. The following year, in 2009, she met with Pope Benedict. Now, she said the meeting went very well. I'm sure he was not offensive to her. But what she didn't say is that she got rebuked. Okay? He told her what we expect from Catholic politicians on moral teachings and the like. So the point is here, people, she has a long history of insubordination, of defiance. And so what Corleone did was just the final straw. It's been going on for decades, at least until 1990. So I hope people look at that. We have the evidence. It's not an opinion piece, not an essay, not against them. I do a lot of it myself, but this is all bullet format. We've got the dates, we've got the specifics. The woman is at war with the Catholic Church, as I said, and I mean this sincerely. I know atheists who are more in line with Catholic Church teachings on moral issues than Nancy Pelosi, the, quote, devout Catholic House Speaker of the Congress.
Right, absolutely. And it's a very powerful report to your viewers. If you are interested in checking that out, go to our website, catholicleague.org. We'll have a link in the description below. But it's very good, very comprehensive, and goes through a lot of stuff. Now, Bill, I want to lighten it up a little bit. It's Friday here. Everyone's, busy news week. We got all sorts of craziness going on in the world. But you had a very strong piece out today on sports and politics, and they just don't seem to mix well together at all. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
I mean, I'm looking at this sociologically. I mean, everybody knows that within families, people disagree on politics. Within New York City, Pittsburgh, I don't care where you're from, there are going to be some differences. But what brings people together is sports.
Right.
Everybody roots for the home team. Now, if you're in a big city like New York, it could be the Yankees and Mets, and they could be oppositional. You go to a place like Pittsburgh, there's only one football team. It's the Steelers. Everybody rallies around that. Cincinnati Bengals and the like. Now, look, we should continue with that, and it's always been that way. Hollywood has always tried to turn everything into a political theater. All right, not just artistic theater. And sports has been removed from that. But in the last couple of years, about around 2016 or so, with Colin Kaepernick and the others taking the knee and whatnot, they've politicized sports. And now we have the Tampa Bay Rays, 5 players, who said that they would not wear some logo celebrating LGBT month, year, whatever it is, century. It never seems to end. And they're getting punished for that by the media. Look, there's a difference between celebrating the Irish, the Italians, Muslims, and others. You're celebrating your traditions and your history and your heritage. What are we celebrating when it comes to sexuality? So I have a right as a Catholic not to regard men having sex with men as something which is good. In fact, I find it repulsive, like lots of people. Now, will I tolerate gays in society? Of course I will. Why would I care? I'm sure I've had gays join with the Catholic League and march in the St. Patrick's Day parade. I wouldn't care. As long as people don't act up. Straight people act up, I throw them out of the parade. Make no distinction on what they do in bed and with whom. But this has really gone too far of punishing people for objecting to homosexuality. Homosexuality is a behavior. We're not talking about objecting to homosexuals. There's a huge difference between a person who might be gay. He's a child of God like everybody else and needs to be respected. Right. But when you get into behavior with straight people, adultery, Don't tell me that I have to support the adulterer. I'm not going to do so anymore. I am the sodomite. So, yeah, we sounded off on that. The best thing to happen to sports would be to say no politicization of anything, because these guys are going to get what they wish for. What if a Donald Trump comes along, he buys a team, any team, and he makes everybody wear a pro-life logo on their uniform?
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, they'd be screaming, this is not fair. The owners need to come together and say, look, time out, no pro or anti-gun control, anything. Just go out there and play ball. And if you want to do this on your own time, obviously you have a right to do so. Once you put on that uniform, the politics needs to end. And I don't care whether it's on promoting my cause or against my cause.
Right, absolutely. So I feel like that's a good spot to wrap it up for this week. But dear viewer, if you're interested in this story or any of the other stories we talked about this week, I know we had a lot. We do a lot here at the Catholic League. But do check out the website, catholicleague.org. A lot of great information there for you. And as always, if you give this video a like and subscribe, that'll help us greatly. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Bill.